So it's 9:30. I would just like to get started now. Starting with the introduction. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining DataCon LA 2021. Welcome to Data Governance, the definitive guide overview by Evren Eryurek from Google. My name is Aaron, your host, and co-hosting with me today is Chijioki Ejimura, or CJ for short. We'll be moderating the chat and Q&A for everyone that's joining the session. I would like to give a bit of background to Evren. So Evren's professional background is diverse, where he served as Director of Technology at Emerson Process Management, Senior VP and Software Chief Technology Officer at GE Healthcare, and Director of Product Management, namely Streaming Analytics and Data Management at Google. So I would like to say that today's very special with a talk by Evren, as he would like to talk to you about why data governance is your best friend and ally to achieve success in your data-driven journey. I'm sure you're all excited for his talk, so let's give Evren a big DataCon LA welcome.
Thank you guys. It's awesome to be here. Happy Saturday to everyone. When I heard about this event, I volunteered to do it myself among my peers who contributed to publishing this book. And we did this during COVID era when O'Reilly reached out to me, hey, we want to do this thing. This is a big topic. And you are doing a lot of good things in here. Why aren't you thinking about it? I actually was hesitant at first because having written a couple of theses, I know it takes a lot, but the topic is really important and it's a very hot topic and everybody's thinking about it all the time. And we felt it was really important to really put together something and help organizations feel more comfortable about what they can do and how they can go about it. So in the next 25 minutes or so, I'm going to try to cover various chapters that everyone found it to be useful, so you can actually benefit it and take advantage of it in your environments. Hope to really see some good questions from all of you, and you can find me in LinkedIn, wherever you prefer, to continue the conversation. I don't have to tell you that data is sort of the next big thing in every industry. It is going to really be the core around all the innovation, how we actually approach it. So everyone knows this. That's why you're here. It's an awesome place to be here. But this question gets asked to me a lot. What is data governance? Especially if you looked at the past few years, things sort of flared up. There was a lot of, confusion. Oh, what are we going to do? Should we not save? Should we save? How do we save? Where do we save? Lots of discussions. Having had a background in very regulated industries, this is sort of a comfort zone for me. Let's figure out what is driving this governance. First, the complexity around data, how much it's growing, and the nature of the data itself is complex. And then the regulatory aspect of it. Who hasn't heard GDPR? A few years back, everybody was going, it's going to go away. When it became reality, there was a lot of scare in the market. They didn't know what to do, what was going to happen, and so forth. But for those who've been regulated, healthcare, fintech, and so forth, they knew what to do. They knew how to approach it. So this is part of the regulatory aspect of it. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. It protects us. Then it's about risk management. How do you really do the risk management around the data that you're handling for your businesses and operations? And the operational efficiency in doing so is really important. One way to do it is you lock everything and don't, use it. Well, that becomes really useless for your organization, for your businesses. So you really have to think about, how do I do this thing in the best way that doesn't really hurt, that doesn't really break anything? And lack of control. We got to be honest about ourselves. We really have to have certain limitations, certain controls, certain processes around us. So that's really what's behind it. It is about policy, people, and technology. These three elements come together for successful data governance. And we're going to walk through some of that. And I really, truly believe that data governance unlocks massive business value. Think about it that way. In your organization, be the champion. Think about how you can actually approach what is it that you can do, what it means from operational perspective, alternatives to improving decision making. These are all benefits of data governance. Some of the aspects, I said tools, right? Let's talk about it. Now, step back and take a look at the big picture. And this could be any multi-cloud and hybrid, and I'm going to show you that too. So in the center, you have some sort of a storage. And then you have some data ingestion taking place. And then you actually catalog whatever that data is. You process them, but you put these security pillars all over that's across the horizontal that applies to everything, from your IAMs to data loss prevention to everything. So this is sort of your big picture. Now, this big picture is really complex in your real world. You have all these on-prem things, third-party tools, whatever it might be, multiple things in the cloud, multiple clouds. So this gets really complicated very fast. And how do I do this thing in a consistent manner is the challenge, is the question that we keep getting asked. Biggest player is data catalog. Now, every company that I speak to has a homegrown version of catalogs. I actually heard from one of the CIO friends that I was talking to, hey, Evren, I need a catalog for all my data catalogs. It's true, because if you have grown with a bunch of acquisition, you're going to end up having multiple data catalogs that was grown up by those business units. So it's in here to think about how do you manage technical metadata as well as business metadata? Think about both of those. And how do you do auto tagging? How do you do PII tagging and so forth? So you can actually take it to the next level. There are some great capabilities out there that you can leverage. Metadata is really important, especially from the IAM perspective. Now, there are few things that we need to go through. The governor provides you the permissions, and you can actually discover it and so forth. The analyst may have a view access to certain things, read access to certain things, play and change and whatever access to some other things, but depends on the personas, and I'm going to cover that a little bit more. Governing the sensitive data is key. This is really important. You need to be able to identify which one is PII, from location, phone numbers, whatever, which one is financial information that you shouldn't be sharing it, or you're the manager and you shouldn't be seeing your boss's information, but you may be given access to read your team members' information. Those are all different tiers of access to classified data. That's really important. I said people and processes. Well, the people are simple. Governors, approvers, users. There are these three categories, and we deal within this ecosystem, and I'll cover some aspects of it. Now, every organization feels they need a lot of people to do this. No, it's roles versus hats. Think about it that way. We play different roles with different hats. I can be a governor and a user of the some set of the data or what have you. So you can actually perform your tasks, not necessarily has to be aligning to your job title or role or whatever. So feel comfortable about that and share that notion with your teams as well. So now I'm mapping how these sort of the roles we see and the hats that we see map to this bigger picture. Your privacy czar, or it could be any one of those things, fits in here and sort of decides what needs to be done. There's one person who's the data owner, has a lot of privileges, but has a limited privilege. Data analysts, all they care is, give me the data, let me do my business, let me get the insights so I can actually share it. They don't really need to be changing the data. They don't really need to be worrying about it, but they need to be given access to it. Auditor makes sure everything is done in compliance with the process rules that you have in your business. So these are the user hats that we define, and we walk through it, and we have a lot of examples, and I'm just going to skip it through for you guys, so that I'm hoping some of you will be asking a bunch of questions to me. So from the process perspective, data segregation within the storage is really important. Now, we're going to cover some of it, but think about it. You're a global company. You may or may not be allowed to store the data in certain areas. If you're in Europe, they're going to mandate, hey, store your data, my data, in some cases, country by country. In some cases, they allow it by the region, EU versus North America, and so forth. And then this is who owns the data. So there is a business line of ownership. They are the ones who get to own, they are the ones who get to manage, they are the ones who get to change and what have you. And then the access, the view to the data sets. So who decides who gets to see what data? That's a step that is very, very important. And finally, we must all strive to have a culture of privacy and security in our businesses. It's essential to really successful data governance, successfully running businesses. Now, let's talk about the data lifecycle and data governance. How do they all go together? Now, I mentioned discovery and classification being very important. You got to discover, with the notion of new chief data officers and chief digital officers and so forth over the past few years, data governance became a big thing. Now they're going, okay, go figure out what to do with my data, bring me value. That's their charter. Now, they don't even know what data they have where and how it can be used by whom. So this is the discovery part. And then they have to be classifying it. Now, if you think about it, in different countries, different classifications, different limitations, in different industries, from healthcare to fintech to retail, different classifications. There are 100 different plus classifications, and you can also create your own custom classification. So it's a very important step to be looking at. Data masking. Now, I'm hoping most of you are already using built-in technologies that are existing out there. We have one of those in Google Cloud. We made it available since day one because this is really, really useful. And I have seen personally during my chats with my bankers and credit card companies and whatever, they're actually asking my personal information. They were no longer. They are doing much better these days. But it wasn't really automatically removing the information. And you can imagine, I wasn't sharing any of that information with them. So you have to be sensitized towards data masking yourself. But having a built-in automatic system for de-identification is essential for data masking and how you can actually manage it for structured and unstructured data. Data quality is a huge, huge pillar, very important as far as your business outcomes and the role it plays within data governance. Its accuracy of the data, the completeness of the data, timeliness of the data, where the data is. There's a lot of use cases out there that they have multiple sets of the truth, if you will. They don't know that exists Evren. They just don't know which version of the Evren is the latest information that they can actually trust, that source of the data. I moved around a lot. My whole career, I moved around, and they only know what I had done maybe 10 years ago. That's no longer the truth about me. Now I am in a different place. So they need to really understand in a timely way in terms of the completeness of the data that they have and the accuracy of the data. So errors will be there. There is no doubt about it. And it can be introduced in any one of these places, in any one of these stages. We have to be cognizant of that. We have to be ready for that. We have to be really driving to achieve how we can get to a place where healthy dealing of the data is enhanced. Now, we talk about data governance, we talk about policies, and how it really helps the data quality. These elements are going hand in hand. So if you look at it on your executive and operation area, you got to certify your data and its results and policies and so forth. We talk about lineage all the time. Everybody knows about lineage. Can everybody achieve lineage in its true sense end to end? That's the key, right? We are making some assumptions about where the data is and where it's coming from, and we're making some assumptions about quality measures. As long as you have some metrics around it, some policies around it, that's a very good place to be. And for the customer analytics part, you need to provide solutions. How do I catalog my data? The metadata cataloging is key, as I mentioned. Where was this data? Where is the source sitting? Were there derived, driven descriptions that we had in here that we can take a look at it? How was the security applied to this thing? Can I see it? Can I just interpret it? Can I actually understand the data? So these are elements that really you have to think about it as you're putting it together. During the operations, during the physical side, you have to certify the data. You have to really apply your business rules, and the physical state of the data is really important. Remember, I was talking about how we are governed by many industries, by many government regulations, where data needs to stay. You need to be aware of where your data is going to sit, the source of the data, which borderlines it can stay in, which borderline it can cross, and in what form it can cross. These are really important aspects of the requirements that we have to be cognizant. Now, monitoring, as you can imagine, plays a massive, massive role. So there are few things we believe should be monitored all the time, and you need to really think about automating these things. This is essential for success. So we talked about data quality. So you have to monitor all the time the quality of your data, because it is your first step towards enabling the trustworthiness of your analysis. If it is not really quality data, well, you're not going to get quality insights out of it. Lineage is really important. We talk about this all the time. It's the integrity, it's the usability, it's the security. Do I know when something changed the data? Am I operating with that changed data? Do I understand what the change was all about? How does it impact my insight? How does it impact my analysis? These are really important aspects of it. So there are various ways of doing this thing. We have to do it. We have to have it as part of your policies, as part of your governance structures that you have in your system. And compliance, no buts or ifs about it. This has to be in place. The safeguards has to be in there. You have to assume all the time there will be a bad actor, there will be a bad situation. So you put the safeguards against this, and you can actually avoid all kinds of nasty situations, fines in some cases from the governments, and more importantly, maybe the most importantly, your customers will not trust you if you're not compliant with it. And we believe monitoring the program performance is really important. This allows us to really understand the progress we're making. Are we moving the needle? Because this is a journey, a never-ending journey. Things always change, things always get more mature, and our lives and complexity grows and grows. So understanding how our program is performing is really important. So with the security aspect of it around our data, this is really good for us too. Think about it. If you have an early detection system towards your suspicious behaviors, unauthorized accesses, and so forth, that's really important. I'm not even talking about encryptions and so forth. It has to be at all times, at rest, in transit, at all times, it has to be encrypted, and it has to be really key managed and so forth. So those technologies are essential there. I'm just assuming that everybody has the basic understanding of the table stakes, if you will. These are key. So the core set of tools, it could be many set of tools that you have in here, but you got to understand, some of it will have some kind of an email access and so forth. You really have to put that in there, but essentially it's your real-time analysis. Is my monitoring system enabling me to do real-time analysis around my data governance? This is really important, right? And do I see think about it as like a SOC and so forth area, do I have the right set of alerts coming to me, notifications coming to me? Do I understand at all times who has what access to what data, and when was the last time things have changed, and when was the last time an audit was done? So you need to be able to do this thing and provide a report at a given time, whenever you're asked or whenever you need to be generating a report. So it has to be part of this 24/7 culture that you're building. That brings me to building the culture around data privacy and security. So what is data culture? You have to really, all of the employees have to believe in the values, the goals, and we all have to have the right attitudes towards this. How do you practice this around the data that you're dealing with, you're collecting, you're touching, you're managing, you're monitoring for your customers? Who is responsible for it? For how long that person was responsible? We change our roles. If your role changes and your access to a certain set of data is no longer needed, that needs to be immediate. That needs to be really part of your process, part of your culture, to really follow you, follow your roles, follow your processes and policies. The three aspects that we believe that help build successful data culture is intention, training, and communication. Really, really important at the company level to establish your tenets so that you know what is the sensitive data, how does this company deal with the sensitive data, how do we ensure its data quality and so forth is understood, and it's part of the overall DNA. And there will always be some limiting factors. I know that. We all know that. You may not have enough time, you may not have enough headcount, you don't know what to do and so forth, but there's always a way to mitigate what, how, and whatever that we need to be doing in terms of intention as a company, what we want to do, and we set it for ourselves. Don't really shortcut that part. Now, training is really key. Training our own people, our own employees all the time. It's not a one-time thing. Things change all the time. Understanding time after time, what is it that we need to be touching, what is it that we need to be training them on, is really essential for us. And finally, the communication. We can't communicate enough. Top down and bottom up. These are really important. Very important to hear from our CEOs what those best practices are, what's expected from us, as well as bringing worries, whatever, misgivings and mishappenings and so forth, so that you can actually report out openly with no fear. These are really important so that you can surface the breaches and tackle them at all times. I have given you all a view of our book, and it is an easy read. I was really hoping to make it so that it's a couple-hour read. Fantastic team of authors who participated, who joined me in making this book happen. I am really, really happy. I'm really proud to be part of this team in publishing this book. And it's available for all of you. Please read it. Please share your thoughts with us. Please let us know if there's something that we can do, if there's something that we missed that we should expand on and so forth. These are all things that we're open for. Get a hold of us and share your thoughts with all the authors, and particularly myself. And I'm hoping to hear more questions. And I'm not seeing any online questions. Maybe there is that I didn't see it. But thank you for the time. I am really thrilled to be here and participating in DataCon LA.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Evren, and we're really happy that you're here with us. So there is a question from the chat, if you would like to answer. They're asking how they can get the book.
Oh, yeah. Book is on Amazon. Book is on O'Reilly. So if you go put my name and book name, whatever, you can actually find it. If you guys want it, I can actually go find it on Amazon right now and share the link in here for you guys. Would that help?
Let me see. So yeah, they say yes.
Yes. Okay. Well, hey, I will do that then. And hang tight. Data governance. There it is. Okay, here's the first link. I don't know if you guys can see this. I will chat it in here as well. Does that help? And they're buying Amazon right here. Buy from O'Reilly. There's, there are different ways.
Perfect. Thank you for the link. So we do have another question.
Mhm.
They say, Efren, what other industries or growing market do you think may be regulated like the health industries? One market that comes to their mind is the crypto space, such as NFTs.
That's a good question. I'm not a crypto expert. I'm not a fintech expert, but there will be some regulations for them for sure. I just don't know how that's going to work, what they're going to do about it. But that would be industry regulation. And if you look at the healthcare and fintech, they're trying to protect our rights, right, as the consumers, as the patients. So in that crypto world, probably similar things. How do they protect the individuals, the consumers' rights, their maybe privacy and so forth? That's how these regulated industries work. And if you look at it, just about every industry has some regulation. Retailers have it, fintech has it, media has it. There is some sort of a regulation to protect the consumer, protect the patient, protect the individual. That's where these data governances come to play.
Awesome. Thank you so much for answering that question. So we have another question from an attendee, Richard Ortiz Lewis. And he says, my team is currently working on data sharing between physicians. Google has an API for data de-identification of medical imaging.
Yeah.
Is Google then responsible for the security in transit?
Very, very good question. So if you look at that, there's a shared responsibility between the people who are creating the applications and where the infrastructure is laying. So if you're using a public cloud provider like Google Cloud, and you're using its infrastructure during its where it is saved, where it is transmitted, and so forth, we have all those capabilities for you. But you, as the application owner, have a lot of responsibilities in ensuring no one can breach, no one can actually come through your system. We will block it underneath. So we have an impenetrable system. But if your application is not as secure, that is on you. That is so. When people think, "Oh, it's on cloud, therefore I have no responsibility," it's absolutely not true. It's a shared responsibility. You're responsible for your application and its security.
Perfect. So let's see. We still have about 12 minutes left in this session. If anybody wants to ask any questions, feel free to do so.
I talk fast. And I thought I had too much content. I hit some.
Yeah.
So how many people are live right now? Maybe I can ask them some questions. What industries are they from? Can we do a polling?
Sure. Let me create a poll.
Let's create a poll. Which industry they're from?
Okay. And let's see. So we have like the medical industry. Let's see. And would you happen to have any sample industries you want me to include in the poll?
It could be medical, finance, retail, media,
Okay, got it. Let me just.
manufacturing.
Oops, I prematurely hit enter. Let me create another one. Medical. So the poll is set, and folks,
Let's see.
if you'd like to answer, and if other, you can add it to the chat.
Yeah.
There we go.
Oh, involved in finance. Shannon, how is data governance achieved in your industry, in your company? Whoa, you're from politics. That's awesome. We got to really have some kind of a data governance there, right? I'm trying to make this as interactive because if it were live, I would definitely get questions from the audience.
Yeah,
It is hard to do it digitally, but I appreciate everyone joining in here.
So it looks like Sophia says starting next week, she will find out soon.
Okay,
And
so what was the question about data I work with? No, it's not about the data you work with. When you look at your industry, your company, how do you guys approach data governance? Did what I present in here resonate with you? Are you seeing things that you can do better and improve in your current company? Okay, Sophia's starting nice. It's a big issue whether the data is regulated or not. That's very true. So the easiest assumption is assume it's regulated, and then you can actually start working around it, because dealing with regulated data doesn't mean you can't do anything with it. You just have to make sure it's part of the culture. It's okay to be working with the unregulated data, but still make sure you have the thinking that somehow some bad actors might create some problems. Even if it is unregulated, that doesn't mean that there isn't a PII potentially in it, because sometimes it's accidentally in there. Do you have I think especially for medical imaging, where Hippo no longer protects the identified information. Richard, can you tell me a little bit more about why Hippo is not protecting the de-identified information? Because the de-identified information usually shared in cohorts to really share with the peers and whatever to really drive health solutions, but it helps kind of the researchers in various ways. So I'm trying to understand what you mean by that. Okay, one strict. Okay, so it's no longer about the patient. That's true, because you cannot go back and determine that this was Evren's X-ray or this was Evren's CT scan and so forth. But that information is very valuable for the researchers from the cohort analysis and what have you, that you can actually use it for clinical goods, delivering better healthcare solutions. So I'm not sure if you're sharing a concern or you want to. Okay, I'm reading. Okay. Any other thoughts? Anything from the poll?
so looking at the poll, no one has responded yet.
Yeah, it's
but
very small responses.
yeah,
It's okay. We're chatting in here. Look, what is my advice for companies that haven't acquired new businesses on how to prevent data catalog challenges in future? So, whether they have acquired or not, they have data catalog challenges for sure. What I would recommend is, if they don't have a data catalog mentality or even the tools in-house, I would recommend that they start somewhere. If they have a cloud option, a public cloud option, their chosen cloud will have some kind of a catalog solution for them, like we do in Google Cloud. We have Cloud Data Catalog that actually enables all our users to catalog their metadata and do the business and tech tagging and so forth. And if you are on-prem only, then you would actually have other companies out there who are very well known in the industry, and they can provide you on-prem only data catalog solutions. And some of those companies also have cloud and on-prem as well. How does one go about data governance for a startup where teams are just being set up? Should we go to a third party? Fantastic question, Richard. As a startup, you are going to have limited resources. First of all, the fact that you're asking this question is really key. That means you're thinking about data governance at the early stages. So if you look at the book, if you look at some of the areas that the pillars that we talked about data governance, it's going to be your culture, it's going to be the tools, and more importantly, what you're doing with that data and where you're dealing with that data. Assuming you're building an application on a cloud, partner with your cloud team, whoever that is, providers, and ensure, look, here's the type of data I'm dealing with, and here are the regulations that I have to comply to, and make sure that you start with that. And then start talking about it within the company. 3 people, 2 people, it doesn't matter, 300, 3,000, 300,000. You start talking about the importance of what they're doing, what they're touching in terms of the data and how they're dealing with it and so forth. And then start thinking about roles and hats. One person shouldn't have the entire key to the entire kingdom at all times. There should be some sort of a separation, some sort of a roles and responsibilities and hat separation. I would start with that. And, maybe give them the book and share it, because it's a good way to really think about it early on. And as you hire new people, that becomes your go-to place. This is your area to really share your world and in a compliant way and following the processes that you have established. And then have policies. You got to have your own policy system in place that you can actually rely on and act on it and activate it. Your IAM policies will be driven with that. Security policies will be driven with that. So that process will help you drive your next steps. Great question. Thank you for asking that, Richard.
Excellent. There's about maybe like a minute and some change left. I think now would be a good time to kind of wrap things up.
Okay. Look, I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you for the questions. Thank you for the engagement on the chat. And like I said, I'm here. You can always find me on social media, LinkedIn, whatever. And share our book with your friends. Let us know your thoughts and what else we should be doing it. Thank you for coming, giving us your Saturday morning. Have a great rest of your day and have a great DataCon.
Excellent. And I like to say on behalf of DataCon LA, thank you very much again, Evren, for your presentation. And I really do appreciate all the attendees for your questions. Feel free to contact the speaker if you have any further questions regarding this specific topic. And as a set aside, provide your comment and feedback to us or the organizers on the community board, or you can start a discussion to connect with others in the DCLA community. So in closing, I hope you can gain some insights from the session. And I just wish everybody a wonderful day. And thank you for being a part of this year's DataCon LA. Bye.
Bye.